sir. I respectfully hand over the dais to you.
Thank you, dear friends. It's really a pleasure to be with you all in this session of the International Conference on Advanced Sports Science and Intelligence Performance. I'm many reasons why I'm here. Actually, SRM IST is very close to my heart. Though I am a professional and I'm very honored, and I'm really very happy to see the performance of this SRM University at the national and international level sports competitions. Are you all ready for the next session? You are going to witness some of the online class. Before that, are you all ready to listen? Ready? ஒண்ணுமே சத்தமே இல்லையே, எல்லாம் அங்க அப்படி இப்படி பேசிட்டே இருக்கீங்க. ரெடியா? Before I start, shall I start one icebreaker? Fruit salad சாப்பிடலாமா எல்லாரும்? சாப்பிடலாமா? Fruit salad? கண்டிப்பா? ரைட். ஒரு சின்ன, நீங்க எல்லாம் நர்சரியில படிச்சிருப்பீங்க இந்த சாங். Bits of paper, bits of paper lying on the ground. கேட்டிருக்கீங்களா, பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா, படிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? இப்போ நான் அதே டியூனில் ஒரு சாங் உங்களுக்கு ஒன்று கற்றுக் கொடுக்க போகிறேன். அது யூ ஆர் ஆல் கோயிங் டு டூ ரைட். இந்த சாங் முதல்ல நான் பாடுறேன், கேட்டுங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்கள்லாம் பாடணும். ரெடியா? வாட்டர்மேலன் வாட்டர்மேலன், பைனாப்பிள் பைனாப்பிள், பனானா பனானா, fruit salad, fruit salad. ஓகே, ஒன்றும் இல்லை. வாட்டர்மெலான், பைனாப்பிள், பனானா, இந்த மூணுத்தையும் போட்டு ஒரு ஃப்ரூட் சாலட் மிக்ஸ் பண்ணுறோம். திருப்பி இன்னொரு வாட்டி பாடுறேன், அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்கள் தான் பாடணும். ஓகே? நீங்களே கூட சேர்ந்து பாடுங்க. வாட்டர்மெலன் வாட்டர்மெலன், பைனாப்பிள் பைனாப்பிள், banana banana, fruit salad, fruit salad. ஓகே, ஆனால் இது வெறும் பாடுற பாட்டு மட்டும் இல்லை, இது ஆக்ஷன் சாங். ஆக்ஷன் சாங் எப்படின்னாக்கா, கொஞ்சம் வளர்ந்து இருக்கும். இப்ப இந்த சாங் நீங்க எப்படி பாடுறீங்க? ஆக்ஷன்ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போது கொஞ்சம் watermelon watermelon, pineapple
pineapple, banana banana,
fruit salad, fruit
salad.
எல்லாரும் எழுந்துருங்க. stand up. Come on. எழுந்துருங்க. ரெடி? ஆமா, இதான். This is a very important ice break for before. ரெடி? நீங்க அங்க யாருமே அங்க சாப்பிடல, ஃப்ரூட் சாலட் சாப்பிடல தம்பிங்க? ரைட். எல்லாம் it's not a compulsory, it's not a, I'm not forcing anyone to do. Okay, ready, start. Watermelon watermelon, pineapple banana, fruit salad. Thank you. Very good. Thank you for the participation. I really, I really, appreciate the contribution of SRM University in the national and international level sports field. And how many of you know that the SRM University got the national award for the best university in sports performance? Last year, SRM University was graded the number one university in achievement of sports. The institution has invited to Maharashtra, and in Bombay, they gave the award. You know, really, there are so many institutions are there, universities are there, but this university is doing wonderful performance. But now, you are all gathered here, maybe sports personalities and physical educationists and all the professors and lecturers and coaches. I don't know, yesterday's deliberations and the morning deliberations and all these things, how much you gathered information, I have a doubt. ஏன்னா ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் பர்சனில் நம்ம எல்லாரும் ரொம்ப பெருமையாக எல்லாமே எனக்கு புரிஞ்சு போச்சுன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. How many of you have observed this and how much it is going to helpful in your profession? நீங்க நாளைக்கு இந்த பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் பண்ணும் பொழுது இந்த நாலேஜ் உங்களுக்கு இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டாக எந்த அளவுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுறோம். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு the present scenario என்னன்னா, any person in any field must be multi-talented. Multi-talentedா இருந்தாதான் the future is yours. எனக்கு பிசிக்கல் எஜுகேஷன் மட்டும் தெரியும், எனக்கு இந்த ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் மட்டும் தெரியும், இந்த கேம் மட்டும் தெரியும், ஒன்றும் வேலைக்கு ஆகாது. You have to be multi-talented. You should know. You must be a coach naka, or coach naka, and the coach cannot be a single coach. He must be a psychologist மாதிரி இருப்பாரு, கோச் பண்ணுவாரு, உங்களுக்கு டீச் பண்ணுவாரு, ஃபாதர் மாதிரி ட்ரீட் பண்ணணும், மதர் மாதிரி ட்ரீட் பண்ணணும், கேர்டேக்கராக இருக்கணும், மெடிக்கல் டாக்டர்ஸ் மாதிரி. ஸோ தெர் இஸ் அ மல்டி டேலண்டட் எ கோச் ஷுட் ஹேவ். அதே மாதிரி நீங்கள் இந்த ப்ரொஃபஷன் எந்த ப்ரொஃபஷனா எடுத்துக்கோங்க, யூ மஸ்ட் பி மல்டி டேலண்டட். அண்ட் ஐ டோன்ட் வாண்ட் டு டேக் மச் ஆஃப் யுவர் டைம், அண்ட் இட் இஸ் வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் தட் this university is a pioneer in many things, and I request the computer section people to have discussion with the sports department to have a bridge course on AI and physical education. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, because the people are waiting on the online. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. After a heavy lunch, we were all sleeping, but you just woke us up for the next online session. Thank you very much.
It's a time to invite Dr. Rakesh Tomber, lecturer in the Department of Physical Education at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, Saudi Arabia. He has 26 years of teaching and research experience, included 18 years internationally. He has served as principal co-investigator on 13 fully funded major research projects, published 62 research papers, author of 3 books in physical education. He also been a keynote guest speaker, more than 150 conferences, seminars, webinars, workshops across the world. His honors include award for outstanding contribution in physical education and sports, National College Trichy, Best Teacher Award, King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, Excellence in Teaching Award, College of General Studies, King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, Saudi Arabia. Now I would like to invite Dr. Rakesh Tomber to start his session.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you so much for inviting me to give lecture, during this conference. I'm grateful to the SRM University and especially Professor Mohanna Krishnanji for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again. Without taking more time, I would like to quickly start my presentation. I hope this is for 1 hour, if you can confirm so that I can keep my time accordingly. Okay. Thank you. Just remind me before 5 minutes so that I don't exceed, I don't want to disturb your program. Thank you. Okay, so please, is my presentation visible? Okay, everything is fine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as you are aware about through the program, my topic for presentation will be on use of supplements in sports. Of course, we understand all professional in sports and the coaches, athletes, we understand how important the nutrition, is in, bringing performance, especially in the elite. And of course, it starts right, from the early career, but in when we talk about nutrition, again, the supplements, the use of supplements is quite, widespread, across all the sports, all over the globe. And this has like, taken a tremendous growth, and but at the same time, there is a lot of misconception, there are a lot of myths, around use of supplements in sports. Many athletes, many coaches use so many supplements, and many of these supplements are used because of the peer pressure, because of the word, and because of because so many of these so-called supplements spread through the word of mouth between athletes and between coaches. Now, how good it is to use these supplements? Of course, there are a lot of questions, there's a lot of debates, there's a lot of scientific, credibility of scientific evidence, many of the supplements, but again, saying them as a supplement also is not correct. So not and everything you use, in nutrition to enhance performance is called supplements. So we have to very carefully use again the word supplement when we use it in sports to enhance performance. So in my lecture today, I will be, of course, I will tell you what are there are so many like compounds, I will say compounds which are being used, in enhancing sports performance, how many are accepted, officially, by the, International Olympic Committee medical commissions, how many are recommended, and which are like, maybe, possibly maybe recommended in future, and how many are banned and should not at all be used. So I will first give, give information about, like those groupings. There are like 4 groups of supplements. And later on, then I will be talking about 5 or 6 supplements, only, which are officially recommended by the International Olympic Committee Medical Commission, and also many international sports federations, and they are accepted, and they are considered relatively safe, and there is enough credible research which shows that these supplements improve performance. So we'll be talking about only of those supplements. But here images which are shown on the screen, this is just for the purpose of like showing. It does not mean that I am promoting any of these supplements. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand that supplement, as the name said, it's a supplement. Okay, this is not an alternative. So this is not an alternative to your poor food choices and poor dietary intake. So if an athlete, you are an athlete, or if you're a coach, if your athlete is taking these supplements because he is not taking a balanced diet, so he is, instead of taking a wholesome food, he is replacing that wholesome food, for example, with a protein powder or something else, then this is not called supplement. So you have to understand, this is not alternative. This is a supplement. This is recommended only over and above your adequate diet. So first of all, the athlete, the sports person, should take the proper, adequate, or we can say a balanced diet, which contains the all wholesome food. And after taking that adequate diet, and due to other reasons, due to traveling, due to training concern, due to timing, due to intensity, due to digestive problems, and there are many other issues, if athlete face any issues and he is not able to meet the requirement of the the vitamins, minerals, and other macronutrients, then we recommend some supplements to enhance his performance. So this should be first clear to everyone. Now I will show you this one of the slide, and you can take a picture of this, and later on I can send the PDF of my presentation to the organizer so that you can take benefit of this also. This one slide, will give you all information about how the nutrition interventions can improve performance in different type of sports. So when I say sports, I am not here specifically mention, but we'll talk about like where the sports where the strength and speed are a dominant, determinants, where endurance is dominant, determinant, and accordingly you can put all those sports, into these categories, whichever you are, and you can take those nutritional interventions. So like, as you can see here, when we talk about strength and speed, it's a neuromuscular, and mechanical detriments which are more important, which play, you can say a prominent role in increasing the performance or bringing the, performance. Whereas, in endurance, based, events is a physiological detriments which are more important, right? And then further you can, dig into it deep, and then we can say anaerobic power, aerobic power, lactate threshold, total buffering capacity, endurance, running economy, all those things are like, important. And then again, this is a, final, like, if you talk about the endurance, you want to improve the VO2 max. If you talk about endurance, it's the cardiac output, lactate threshold are more important, distribution of power and energy, running economy, all those things important, aerobic enzyme activities, hemoglobin. Whereas if you talk about the strength and speed, event, then, it's basically, the muscle tendon unit stiffness, hypertrophy of type 2 fibers, muscle mass, ATP, PC systems, right? Buffering capacity, lactic acid tolerance, all these things, like this is basically a physiology behind improving performance in all sports. So which factor will play a dominant role depends upon, what type of sports you are in. Now the question here is, can the nutrition intervention improve or enhance the the performance of these these factors? And the answer is yes. The nutrition intervention can improve your performance. They can, it can influence, all these factors to a significant level. Like, for example, if we talk about the caffeine can improve your both anaerobic power. At the same time, it can improve your aerobic power also. Then sodium bicarbonate and beta-alanine. These two are a very great supplements. I don't know how many athletes, how many coaches are recommending these to the athletes. They are very great, supplements, and this is very easily available. Sodium bicarbonate, you can find it in your home also, like as a baking soda. So this actually improve your anaerobic power and also help in delaying the fatigue. So it increases the lactic acid tolerance, right? Then at the same time, nitrate, a very wonderful, example is a beetroot. The beetroot is easily available, in vegetable market, and it can be easily accessed, and one can easily take nitrate from the beetroot juice. So beetroot juice is excellent for anyone who is involved in endurance running. And also there's a ample evidence it also affect in high intensity exercises. And then we have the collagen and gelatin supplements, we have creatine supplements, especially the creatine monohydrates. Then there is a type 2 fiber hypertrophy. Optimum hydration will help, maintaining your cardiac output. Iron supplements, but iron supplements only if an athlete is anemic. If he is not anemic, there is no need to give iron supplement. Okay, and then periodically training on the low carbohydrate diet is again important, and also the use of L-carnitine supplements. So all these nutritional intervention can improve the sports performance. And what I have listed here, these are officially accepted and recommended by the International Olympic Committee Medical Commission. Now, first, let's come to the micronutrients, that is vitamins and minerals. So here again, there is a catch. So many athletes, irrespective of their nutritional status, many coaches, without knowing the nutritional status of the athlete, they recommend, okay, take the vitamin B complex, take this vitamin B12, take vitamin D3, and so on. Like, but this is totally wrong. You can take this micronutrients, pills, depending upon the status, your status. If your status is adequacy, you don't have to take anything. If your status is, for example, if you are having a marginal deficiency of these micronutrients, then of course you have to take these micronutrients. Okay, yes, but if your status is adequate, you don't have to take, because you can see here from this pictorial presentation, excess can lead to the death. And also, if there is a deficiency, then further also it can lead to the death. So the most important thing is to have the adequate intake of this micronutrient status so that you can maintain the status as adequacy. Okay. Now this is this graph will tell you how important is, especially when we talk about the sports performance, to maintain the status of micronutrient as adequate. You see, if the status of the macronutrient in your body is adequate, then your performance will be optimum, you can see. Now, as soon as you deviate from this adequacy status to low or to high, your performance will decline. So means, of course, if there is a deficiency of all these micronutrients in your body, you will not be able to perform well. At the same time, if you take them in excess, then also your performance will decline. So and how do you know the status adequate? To do the testing. So we cannot take any of these, vitamins without knowing your status. So it is very important for all of us to understand. Please check your, status of vitamins through the lab testing before you recommend or before you start taking, intake of, of course, here again very important when you go to the physicians. For example, if your vitamin D3 status is say 23, 24, 25 or 22, the physician will say, okay, this is okay for them. Between 20 and 30 is okay, like from the health point of view. But for an athlete, no, it should be more than 30. So again, you have to understand, yourself as the coaches that, sometimes listening to this physician, because they will give you advice from the point of view of health, not from the point of view of your, from the increasing performance in sports. Then you have to take the advice from the authorized, sports nutritionist or, a physician who are dealing with, the sports performances. Now, this is again to show how the reduced micronutrient status can decrease your performance. So, for example, the reduced nutritional status in an athlete can be because of two reasons. The first reason can be because of the low intake. Athlete is on a low or a poor diet. That's what I said. When you are relying on the supplements, when you rely more on supplements, you don't take a balanced diet. You can increase your protein content. You can increase creatine, monohydrate in your body. You can increase the nitrate or whatever it is. You can take amino acids, branch chain amino acids. But if you don't take the balanced diet, what will happen? Because of the low intake, low calories, intake, there will be a reduced nutritional status in athlete. And also this can again further, increase because of the increase in the losses. So when an athlete do a vigorous training, because of the hard training, there are always losses of these micronutrients from your body. So this all lead to reduced nutritional status. And because of this, what can happen? There can be a subclinical deficiency. Remember, the marginal deficiency does not affect performance that much. Of course, there's some research still going on, but as of now, I'll say the marginal deficiency, it does not affect the performance that much. But it does not mean that you allow your athlete to remain in a marginal deficiency status. Still, he has to be in adequate status. So like marginal deficiency, subclinical deficiency of riboflavin, iron, magnesium, and zinc can lead to decrease in your endurance. It can lead to the decrease in the time to fatigue, decrease in the work efficiency. It will increase ventilation. It will increase the heart rate. If the heart rate is increased, of course, the performance will go down. So I'm talking about the resting heart rate, okay? Then decrease in the work capacity and decrease in the strength. So overall, this will decrease your training status and increase the time to recovery, and result will be decrease in performance. So this is how the micronutrient, reduced status of macronutrient in your athlete can affect the performance. And I don't know how many of us, how many of the coach, of course, our coaches are very dedicated. They work hard with athletes. They give a good training. But how many of you pay attention? It's again a very, very important. And sometimes, again, a very, very important. And sometimes, this has been observed. Many coaches, they complain. They say, my athlete is training very well. My coaching plans are very good. Athlete is working hard, but his performance is not improving. So why is not improving? Because maybe you are giving him very hard training, but he is not getting enough calories. So do you know, and have you calculated that your athlete is getting the enough number of calories, during the day? And if not, then this will lead to, the Rett syndrome. This will lead to the relative energy deficiency syndrome. And if an athlete goes into the chronic energy deficiency syndrome, it becomes very difficult. It can take long time for him to recover. And sometimes we see many athletes, they train very hard, they perform very well, but the performance does not increase. So we have to focus, greatly on this aspect, which is largely, still remain, undervalued. And again, this is a very, fantastic, presentation of these micronutrients, how they, affect the energy systems and how they are important, in bringing the performance. So this is in very detail. I will not go in very detail for this. You can take a screenshot, and it will take more time. But at the same time, it's important to understand, like for example, that zinc. Zinc is a very important micronutrient because it helps, in removal of carbon dioxide from the working muscles when you are training, and also recycling of the lactate to the glucose. So this is very important because lactic acid, production you cannot stop. When you train hard, the higher the intensity, more is the lactic acid produced in your body. And to convert the lactic acid back to glucose is very, very important. And the zinc, helps to a great extent, in this aspect. Okay. So now let's come to supplements. So the first question when you use any supplement is it safe? So these three questions, you should have a tick mark against all these three questions. If there is any cross, you are not supposed to use any of those supplements. And I know that, and unofficially, I will also accept, and many of you know how much this, in the name of supplements, we are using so many compounds in the name of supplements, which of course, I'm not saying that those compounds, they does not improve performance. They improve performance, but it is unfair to use that. They are not healthy, they're not safe, they are not recommended, they are banned, in many sports, right? So the question is not like sometimes many coaches and athletes, what they will do is they will just, go with the third one. Is there evidence that it works? Of course, there is no evidence as such scientifically, because when these substances are banned, nobody will do research on them. So, but from the word of mouth, from the, they will say, yes, it works. But is it permitted in sports? Is it safe? So the first question, this is the third one. The first one is, you have to say, is it safe? If here you get a cross mark, next two questions, you don't have to answer. So every question, once you answer it yes, then you go to the second, then you go to third. So if it is safe, then you have to ask yourself, is it permitted in your sport? If you say, yes, it is permitted in my sports. So just because it is permitted does not mean that you should use that supplement. Because even if you use it, so you should know that there is a sufficient evidence that it works, it improves performance. And at the same time, you must understand, after even answering these three questions in yes, there is no supplement which is 100% safe to use. There's always an element of, risk in use of supplements. Now the supplements, all these supplements, which athletes use or banned, or which are available around, the sporting, fraternity, so they are grouped into 4 categories: Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D. So when you say the group A, in the group A, the scientific, evidence is very strong. Okay. And they are, these supplements are used, by the, athletic bodies or sports bodies and to be, used on the athletes. In the group B, the evidence is, supporting. So like there is an emerging scientific support and more research is required, and they are being, used, by the athletes and for clinical research purpose, and all those things. Evidence, group number 3, the scientific evidence is not supporting of benefit among athlete or no research is undertaken to guide or inform them. That comes in the group number C. And this use within the supplement programs, no, it's not advocated for use by athletes within the supplement programs, may be permitted for use by identified athletes where there is specific approval from, or the approval body or the panel. And group number D is which are banned, which are high risk. There is a chances of contamination with abusive substances, and they are not supposed to be used by the athletes. So these are like 4 groups. Now we'll discuss here in my today's presentation. I will only talk about group A. I will give you first, like in all the groups, what are, which are the supplements and which can use, which we cannot use. Like for example, in group A, there are, first of all, so when we say supplements, there are 3 categories. One is the sports foods, okay? Like sports foods, you can, then there are sports drinks, sports gels, sports confectionaries, sports bars, electrolyte, isolated protein supplement. So it looks very like, okay, we know that sports gels, but how many of you are using the sports bell? How many athletes are using? And does it really matter in the sports confectionaries? A simple toffee, that small one, candy, can that small candy improve your performance? How much, how do you know? Yes, we will talk about all those things. They are very great supplement. And then mixed macronutrient supplements, which I will talk towards the end of my lecture. And then there are some medical supplements like iron, calcium, multivitamin, probiotics, vitamin D, vitamin D3, and zinc. These can be used, and all these 6 have been, proven to improve performance. And then there are the performance supplements. So there are 3 categories. First is the sports food, then there are medical supplements, then there are performance supplements. In performance supplements are caffeine, beta-alanine, nitrate, glycerol. I don't know how many of you know about glycerol and have you used this, especially in the hot and humid condition, especially for the long duration activities. Glycerol is, believe me, really very, very effective in retaining water in your body. This is very, very important. And then creatine, that is monohydrate, and sodium bicarbonate, that is your baking soda. Then in group B, there are, we'll not talk about group B here because group B still, it is like emerging, but it can be used. Many coaches are using, still there is no harm, but there is less scientific evidence available for group B, supplements, like menthol is there, quinine is there. There is a support, but, it is still, more research is required in group B for them to come to the group A. And then group C, of course, group C, there is a very, less scientific, evidence available. And of course, we know that this BCA, especially when I show my first slide also, you can see there's a picture of, BCA, leucine, and leucine is there, of course. But does the leucine improve performance? Though here we are not saying that when you take BCA, you will get protein, your muscles size will improve, for example, but it's isolated protein. It is not a complete protein, right? So just because of taking this isolated branch chain amino acid, will this improve your performance? That's still a question mark. Okay, and then magnesium and then other, supplements are there. So still there is a research going on, but it is not fully supported. And then of course the group D, these are all, the banned substances which should not be used. So I will not discuss them. Okay, so these are the 5 supplements which I'll be talking now one by one. So, and like, can a diet without pills or supplements improve my performance? And this is, as I said, this is officially, there is a consensus statement by the World Athletic Association also, World Athletics also, and also the International Olympic Committee Medical Commission. All these 5 supplements can be, are relatively, I will not say 100% safe. As I said in the beginning, no supplement is 100% safe. but they are relatively safe, and then they can be used, by the athletes, with consultation, from the proper sports nutritionist. Because again, it is important for you to understand, even if they are safe, considered safe to use, they improve performance, but you should know the dose, how much you should take, what should be the quantity, because that quantity can again affect your health and performance. So first, let's begin with caffeine. And I'm sure everyone knows caffeine. And since I'm giving lecture in Chennai, I guess, and I know the filter coffee is very famous, in Chennai, and I like that also. So we all know caffeine, right? It is, even in your normal coffee, you can get caffeine, right? And we understand that caffeine is a stimulant. But how many of you know that this caffeine really improve performance? Yes, it's remarkably one of the most widely used supplement across the world. And earlier, if I'm not wrong, earlier few years back, caffeine was in a banned category. It was not, at least I'm not supposed to use it. But then later on, because caffeine, you cannot stop people drinking coffee, right? So later on, this has been, now allowed, and you can take caffeine without any, it's permitted in sports. Okay, so you can, the caffeine, basically you can, you can get it from coffee, tea, cola, energy drinks. There are food standards code sets the limits on the amount of caffeine that can be added to these drinks. Amount of caffeine in sports foods and supplements also vary according to the regulatory bodies. And children under age of 18 should limit caffeine intake to not more than 2.5 milligram per kg. Again, this is important because I'm sure you are involved in training with many adolescents also. So you have to see if somebody is 16, 17 years of age, he should not go with the adult dose, which is usually 3 mg. So it should not be greater than 2.5 mg per kg of the body weight. Now, the benefit of caffeine is it improves your nervous system, right? And it alert your nervous system, reduce the perception of effort. And I personally have experienced it so many times when I run my full marathons. I have, seen a, marked difference, in performances. It reduces the pain and it improves performance. Now, when to consider it use? When should you use, this caffeine? You can use the caffeine in endurance sports, okay, which is greater than 60 minutes of duration. You can use caffeine in team and intermittent sports, like in football, in soccer. You can use, or any other sports which is endurance in nature. You can also use it as a pre-training energy boost if you're carrying a fatigue into a session. For example, some days your athlete is not performing well, he's tired. So if you take caffeine and you go into training sessions, it will definitely give you a boost. In the brief, sustained, high-intensity sports, which last from 1 minute to 60 minutes. So caffeine can be used even for a weightlifters. Caffeine can be used for a 42-kilometer marathon runner. So it has a wide range, of sports where it can be used, and there is enough benefit to show that it improves performance. So it can be used in the weightlifting, it can be used in the wrestling, it can be used in all combat sports, judo, boxing, because where the high intensity is required. And also used in a single efforts, like as I said, single efforts involving strength or power, like lifting the weight. Okay. So, but here again, you have to understand that the individual performance improvement with the caffeine varies. Some don't respond, and others may have a negative effect. So it's not necessary that everyone, if this is the dose I know, and then everyone who takes, the caffeine in the certain required, there'll be improvement in performance because your gut is different. Everybody has a different, this is a GI tract is respond differently to different nutrients and different foods. So you have to understand, there can also be some side effects of using caffeine, which we will talk about. So you have to first always practice this in your training. Practice in your training the dose and the quantity what you take, and then if you feel there is a benefit, you take it to the competitive situation. So caffeine intake guidelines are very clear. So you should 3 milligram per kg of body mass is what recommended. So if you're 70 kilo, your weight is 70 kilo, you can take 210 milligram of caffeine, before you go into the competitive, situation. But you can get benefit of as low as even 1.5 milligram caffeine. Even if you take 1.5 or 100 mg of caffeine, you can still get some, improvement in your performance. Okay. So when do I use it? You can use it before the exercise. You can use it throughout the exercise. For example, if your training program is for 3 hours, or like, for example, if I'm running a marathon and I know as an amateur, I run in 4 hours, or some people even run in 4 hours, 30 minutes or 3 hours, you can take the caffeine during that entire, duration. Also, of course, limiting the intake, and also late in exercise as the fatigue develops. Okay. And this caffeine can be administered in different ways. You can take it in the form of a capsules. You can take in the form of a normal coffee. You can take caffeine gels, caffeine bars available, caffeine gums. I mean, there are different forms, of different forms are available through which you can ingest caffeine. Now, which one you like? You like capsule, you like coffee, you like gel. It all depends upon person to person, and also depends upon how your GI tract will respond to these. For some people, capsule is not good. For some people, they like energy drinks. For some people, they like taking a coffee or gel. So it's all your personal choice and response of your body towards these supplements. But again, wherever the caffeine is available, it's always a food first philosophy, which any sports nutritionist will follow to their athletes or to their clients. So we always recommend to follow food first policy. But of course, when you, for example, if you want to take the caffeine from the coffee, you will not know exactly how much caffeine I am ingesting, and it again depends upon the type of coffee. So Nescafe has a different content, other coffees have different content in caffeine. So there will be always some issues. So that's why many athletes and coaches, they prefer taking caffeine. Like, for example, they will go with the no dose. For example, this one. So when I say the no dose tablet, this is one of the brand, but you can use different brands also. So I know that if I take one tablet, I will get 100 mg of caffeine. So I will take 3 tablets, 3 pills, and I know and I don't have to drink, I don't have to wait for clearing out the coffee before the, so again, it's personal choices you can use according to, so even like in the chocolate bars, you can get caffeine again, but this content varies from 5 to 50 mg. So the important point is, that you should be ingesting, is the correct dose. Now, like you can see, like Coke gives you 36 gram of caffeine, but should we recommend Coke? No. So it's not again that because there is no other nutritional value when you are drinking unnecessary 400 ml of, it's not a water basically, right? So it does not make sense. So you have to see which one you take according to your requirement, according to the time, according to the sports you can choose, and anything you take, you must practice in your training sessions before you go to the competitive situation. Now, this is just, summarizing all about coffee or caffeine, in one slide, okay, which gives you the dose, how much dose, what are the possible, side effects. Like if your stomach does not respond well to the caffeine, you will be like sitting in, the washroom before you go to the toilet, before you go to the competition, and your whole plan will be ruined. So that is why it is very important for you to practice in training any supplement you use. I know recently one of my friend here, some 2 months back, he started taking some sports gels, but he did not practice. And during the marathon, he has to stop. He was finding the washrooms during the marathon, So these things happen even if, with some of the, like, not novice, but I will say regular amateur runners, they also make these mistakes. Now let's come to the second supplement, which is recommended by the International Olympic Committee Medical Commission, is the sodium bicarbonate. And this is the simple, bicarb soda, or baking soda, which you can find in your kitchen, right? It's simple baking soda, and this can make a significant, difference in your performance. So the benefits of the sodium bicarbonate is that it buffers acids in the blood that causes fatigue. So that is very important. It means it reduces the lactic acid buildup in your muscles. And that's what you want. If I'm running a 400-meter race, for example, if I'm running 400-meter or 800-meter run, all that I have to worry is that about last 100 meters where the lactic acid, build up, and then I'm not able to use my legs and hands. And that's where, even if there is some reduction in the lactic acid buildup, that can make a difference, at that highest level, everything counts. You know, who will win, who will lose. Of course, your abilities are equally important, but then if everything is constant, then it will have a say. Then improved metabolic function of the muscles and also improve performance, with the use of the, this sodium bicarbonate. Now, when to consider it use? You can use this in high intensity events, which last for 1 to 7 minutes. It can be used, like, for example, as I said, you can use it, short distance races like 400 meters, 800 meters, 1500 meters, and even up to 3000 meters. You can other sports also, like, as I said, all intermittent, sports, like boxing, judo, where, there's a high intensity and short bouts repeated one after another. That is repeated high intensity sports. Okay. Even like tennis also it can be used, or all combat sports. Then high intensity events up to an hour where a surge or a sprint to the finish may be required. Now, as I said, you can use it up to the short. This is usually used in up to 1 to 7 minutes, but also it can be used in a high intensity events up to an hour. Like, for example, which lasts for 1 hour, but at the end you need to sprint, you need to surge. At that time also, this is important. And it can be used to enhance training capacities and training adaptations when training is characterized by any of the above. How you can use it, this is again very important. And it's important that you should take, this baking soda along with the food. It should be taken, with your, pre-event meals. So there is a two type of, loading. One is acute loading protocol. In acute loading protocol, you can use 200 to 400 mg of sodium bicarbonate per kg of your body mass plus 10 ml of fluid per kg of your body mass plus 1.5 grams of carbohydrate per kg of your body mass. So this is how you have to use, the sodium bicarbonate to get the proper benefit. Otherwise, you will be sitting in washrooms, before the competition. So for example, if you're 70 kg athlete, then you should be, how much you should be taking? You should be taking around 105 gram of carbohydrate. You should be ingesting around 700 ml of the water and 21 grams of sodium bicarbonate. So 21 gram of sodium bicarbonate, 700 ml of water, 105 grams of carbohydrate. And this you have to take, along with this all together before the event. And you can use any of the carbohydrate, whichever you like, which is available in your geographical location. So to minimize the side effects, you should start loading sodium bicarbonate around 2 to 2.5 hours before you begin your exercise or before you start off your competition. Consume those slowly over 30 to 60 minutes. Not that you just take it in one go. You should be taking it slowly, over 30 to 60 minutes. This is done so that you get maximum absorption also and minimize the side effects, and also to prevent the diarrhea, so that you don't get loose motions. You should drink a considerable amount of fluid, around, as what we said, for 70 kg athletes, around 700 ml of water, and consume with carbs at pre-event meal to assist absorption. Now that was the case for the acute loading. Now for the chronic loading, you should be taking higher daily carbohydrate, dose like 500 mg per kg of body mass up to 5 days before the start of the event. Okay. And this is just again summarizing, the sodium bicarbonate use in one slide. You can take the picture of it. This one slide will be enough for you to understand. Now let's still just 20 minutes left. I will go quickly to the next one, which is beta-alanine. Beta-alanine also gives the same, almost similar type of benefit what you get from the sodium bicarbonate. Okay. And this is, the beta-alanine supplementation is required sometimes multiple times a day for at least 4 weeks to achieve meaningful increase in muscle carnosine levels. So the benefits are, again, it helps in intracellular buffer. So like it removes the acids in the muscles. Okay. So again, when you do that, it will help, in, reducing or delaying the fatigue in your muscles. So it is a fatigue resistance and also improving the performance. So when to use it, you can use it again. It can be again used even the slower, events like 200 meters, it can be used, short sprints can be used. From 30 seconds to 10 minutes, sustained high intensity sports like rowing, cycling, swimming, running, all those things. And also the sports that involve repeated high intensity efforts like all combat sports, which we discussed before. Okay. So it can be used, in all those conditions and sports. Now, how to use it? You can use it there is a two phase. One is the acute, or you can say loading phase. Other is a maintenance phase. In the loading phase, you can take around 3.2 grams, of beta-alanine per day for minimum of 8 weeks. Or you can take, if your stomach can adapt to it, you can take 6.4 gram beta-alanine per day for minimum of 4 weeks. And then later on, after that, after 4 weeks or 8 weeks, you can go for the maintenance dose, which can be significantly lower. You can take 1.2 gram of beta-alanine, every day thereafter. So, but again, the response between the individuals can vary significantly. Again, you have to understand that if your fellow athlete is taking some things, some supplement, does not mean that you should also be taking. This is what we do. Oh, he is taking or she is taking, and we start taking those supplements. So because the response are significantly, vary depending upon, due to your baseline muscle carnosine levels and your training status. So if you're already like high, your training status is very high, that's why, sometimes, the trained individuals, if you're elite, you may experience smaller benefits from beta-alanine compared to others. But still, it is still, worthwhile, to use it. So the supplementation loading plan is you can split this 6.4 gram of beta-alanine, what you have to take in the loading phase, into 3 to 4 even doses with meals. So you don't have to take this 6.4 grams just in one dose. You can split it into the four meals, like in breakfast, snacks, lunch, and dinner. Okay. And if you're taking 3.4 gram, like if you're taking it for 8 weeks and 3.2 grams, then again you can split the 3.2 into 4 equal doses. Okay, so the next one is the beetroot juice, which is usually the rich source for the nitrates. So nitrate, of course, it is not only important to improve performance, but it is also important, to maintain your, blood pressure and blood flow and muscle contraction. So it is also good for, otherwise also good for health. So you can take it. You can take this nitrate. Of course, there are different forms. Like for example, if you want to you simply buy the beetroot, from the market and make a juice for it, you can do that. But again, you have to drink a lot of juice to get that, the quantity of 400 milligram of natural nitrate. So that's why many times it is recommended to take, the concentrated forms of these nitrates. And one of the popular brand is Beet IT, which if you take the 70 ml of Beet IT, you will get almost like 400 mg of natural nitrate, and this is 7 times more concentrated than the normal beetroot juice. Okay. So the benefits is it vasodilate, your capillaries and the arteries in your body. So especially in muscles. So it increases the oxygen to the muscles and the lowers the blood pressure. It increases your exercise capacity. So it's a reduced energy cost, and also muscle contraction and performance is improved, and equally important for immune health. Now, when to use it? You can use it, in events which last for 4 to 30 minutes. It can be even used for prolonged events, like as I said, in marathon running, and even, of course, the cycling, long distance cycling, it is used. So the protocol for using nitrate is, again, there is an acute and there is a chronic supplementation. Acute is you can take like 2 to 3 hours before the exercise. You can take around 350 to 600 milligram of nitrate, and you can get this, as I said, you can get it from beet or you can take the normal beetroot and make a juice for it, or you can do the chronic supplementation, which lasts for 3 to 15 days. And for 3 days pre-event, you take 350 plus 600. Then you can add again plus pre-event, that is just 3 hours, 2-3 hours before the event. You can take 300 to 600 milligram of nitrate. And this is for most of the sports, which even the short intensity also it works. But important is again here, avoid using the mouthwash or chewing a gum along with the beetroot juice, because then it interferes with its benefits. So if because I know in many sports people they used to chew gums, for whatever reason, is it, and so for this 2 to 3 hours you should not be using this, chewing gums or mouthwash, so that you get the benefit of this nitrates. Again, you can get here. You can see wherever it is possible to get anything from the food. We always recommend food first policy. Of course, sodium bicarbonate and beta-alanine you cannot get, so we didn't recommend. But here there are many sources by which you can get the nitrates. So of course, there is always an issue with these foods, because they cover a lot of space in your stomach, and it interferes in taking more calories. When you take more plants, more leaves, it fills your stomach, and you may not be able to take more calorie, which is required for especially very high intensity training sessions when you need 3 to 5,000 calories. So again, you have to make a wise choice between these, making a combination, everything. So nutrition is not just about following anything in black and white. Okay, just take beetroot or take this or whatever. So you have to see the whole your nutritional plan from the nutritionist, and accordingly he will adjust according for different individuals. It will be a different approach, of course. And the next one is a creatine, which is again very popular, especially those who go to the gyms, who are doing the strength training, who want to increase the muscle mass. So creatine monohydrate is a very popular supplement. But again, do you need it really? It depends upon your objectives. If you are in a sports, your medal is at the stake, then you have to take this creatine, again depending upon which sports you are taking part. So you should be taking it in a form of a monohydrate. The others are not recommended. Okay, and that other forms, like as I've shown here, there is a limited evidence for the performance. So but the monohydrate is really, so it improves your muscle qualities, it increases maximum exercise performance, it helps in recovery, and also important for your brain health. Now again, how to use it? So you can use it in the loading phase. You can use like 5 grams of creatine 4 times in a day for 5 days, and then you can use the maintenance dose. You can use 3 to 5 grams of creatine as a single dose. You can use it daily later on. Okay, so first in loading phase you can use it like 4 times in a day, and later on after 5 days of loading the creatine, then you can use it just once in a day, 3 to 5 grams of creatine. Okay, again, creatine, of course, is difficult to get from the food. It's not easily available, but from some foods you can find it, but it's again difficult. Especially if you are a vegetarian, it is difficult to get enough creatine. So you have to co-ingest this creatine with the post-exercise recovery meals, providing protein plus carbohydrate. So you will not just take this creatine just like this. So you can take it especially with the post-exercise recovery meals, which is shown on your. This is just for the presentation purpose. You can have the meal according to your eating habits, food habits, the food available in your area, and according to your taste also, and cultural habits also. This is just again one presentation in one slide about how you can take creatine. I will just quickly move from here. Now this is, of course, what I show here. This is my personal through my personal recommendation, which I have used also in some of the elite athletes. Like I used it for one under 17 badminton champion. I will not disclose the name and other things here. But when I used this star cherry juice on that girl, we found a significant improvement in her performance, and she was having some issues with the supplements she was using earlier, especially the branched chain amino acids, the acne problem, the menstruation problems, and other things. So I'm not advocating here the vegetarian food or the non-vegetarian food or the vegan food choices, but she had some issues, so I just switched her to the vegan diet for 1 month, for some reasons, and then we found great benefits, especially for a health also, and at the same time improving the performance. So the tart cherry juice, of course, the studies are very limited. As you can see here, I'm showing how many studies have been done. There might have been more because this presentation, this information I've taken almost a year back. So there might have been more studies, but still it is not, enough to recommend it, in the nutritional program. But you can take it in the organic form, and you don't find any negative effects of this supplement. This is very good for, especially good for the recovery, during the training sessions and improving your energy, resources. Now, quickly, let's come to the last section, and I will move very fast in this. I have only just few minutes left. I want to focus more on the glycerol. So there are sports energy bars, this comes in different forms. You can use these energy bars, you can use the gels, you can use the sports drinks. All these basically provide you the same benefits, like they give you the carbohydrate, there's the energy source before and during your training sessions and the competition. So the benefits are they basically help to prevent fueling. They also are convenient and compact. For example, my personal is like if I'm running a marathon, I take the small pieces of banana in my pocket. It is not that convenient, how messy it can be. If I take some mashed potatoes in my pocket, I am running. It's messy. Otherwise, you should be having every 5-6 kilometers, there should be someone, standing for you during the course of the marathon, who will provide you these small pieces of bananas and these things what you need. So that's why, sometimes the sports bars, sports gels become very handy, because you can just use it, keep in your pocket, they're very light, just use it one time, throw, exact how many grams of carbs you have taken. That's why it becomes very handy and convenient around your exercise. But for example, if you are in a football field and you have your training bag with you, at that time, you can always bring banana in your training bag. You can just get out of the field and, training session, you can have that. So instead of taking, these sports bars and sports gels at that time. So you have to see again at what time you are using, and you should make your wise decision. So this, so before you take any of these sports bars, sports confectionaries, sports gels, sports drinks, you should understand, because they're basically all for the carbohydrates, for the glycogen, during the training and before the training. So you have to understand how much you need and when do you need. So you have to see here that if your training or if your exercise or if your competition is less than 45 minutes duration, less than 45 minutes, you don't need anything, not even water during this competition. Have you seen during a 10,000 meter race, in the track, you see any athlete going out of the track and taking a water? Come on, if you go out and take water, he will lose the race. So this is not, because, and even the duration of that race is 29 minutes, 28 minutes, 30 minutes, 32 minutes, 33 minutes, depending upon the level of the competition, right? So less than 45 minutes, you don't need anything. Then, of course, if your training or a competition is from 45 to 75 minutes, then you need a small amounts of carbohydrate, and frequent mouth sensing is also equally good. But if your training is more than 1 to 2.5 hours, between 1 to 2.5 hours, you need 30 to 60 grams of carbs per hour. Means you should take like around 15 grams or 10 to 15 grams of carbohydrate every 15 minutes, not just in 1 hour. You should be taking it every 15 minutes. And for ultra endurance events, you need more than around 90 grams of carbohydrate, which is almost like, you should be taking 20 gram every 15 minutes. So this is how you should be taking all these sports foods, sports gels, sports confectionaries, sports drinks, because they all basically contain the same, that's the glycogens, only the mode of intake is different. Okay, I will move quickly from these slides. This we have already discussed. Sports drinks also, the only difference, as I said, only difference between the sports drinks, sports bars, sports gels is the mode, but the effects for everyone is same. It depends upon, some people they like sports bars, some people like sports drinks. It depends upon so, but whether you take a liquid form or solid form, the benefits are same. So it's more like a personal choice. Okay. Now I'll come to the glycerol. So glycerol is basically, it is an odorless, I'm sure many of you might be knowing about this as a compound. So is an odorless liquid sugar alcohol that has a mild sweet taste with a syrup-like consistency. So what are the benefits of glycerol? The benefit is it delay or reduce your, the dehydration. It reduces the effects of increased core body temperature with the heart's heat strain, and also improved fluid retention from kidneys and reduce urinary fluid losses. So this is very important, especially when you're training or you're competing in a very hot and humid conditions. Hot and humid means if the temperature is 30 degree, that is also considered as, the hot conditions for any competition, especially when you are doing a long distance, running. So when to consider it use? So when it is not possible for fluid intake to get close to the matching fluid losses during exercises, exercise in heat when high fluid losses are expected, okay, and access to fluid consumption is impractical or limited. Like for example, as I said, like if you're running a 10,000 meter, race in the track, you can't take fluid at that time, right? Because of the nature of the race and the rules. So at that time, your body should be hydrated well before the event, okay? And how to, what's the hydration plan? How can you take this glucose? Now, this is very important. I will just highlight this and I will then close my, lecture. So you should be taking, first of all, this before around 90 to 180 minutes before the exercise or before your training competition. So what you have to do is you have to take 1 to 1.2 gram of glycerol per kg of your body mass and add 25 ml of fluid per kg of your body mass. So if you are 70 kg athletes, all my references are here for 70 kg athletes. For 70 kg athletes, you should be taking 77 grams of glycerol plus 1750 ml of fluid. Now this much fluid you have to, consume, or you have to, intake before your training session or before your competition, and that is around 3 hours before. So it is no problem if 3 hours before, if you take 2 liters of fluid, you can usually urinate it, before you start, and there is no issues at all. And you can make, like as I said, you can make 3 bottles, with equal, things. Now this is what you have to understand why this glycerol is so important. You see, if you take simple water, if you just take say 1750 ml of water, what will happen? My body will absorb only 5% of it. It's not that when you drink water, all the water is absorbed in your body. When you drink the water through excretory system, it goes out in the form of urine, right? But only 5% is absorbed. But if you take hydration using the glycerol, when you add glycerol to it, you can absorb 39% of that water. And that is what is very important. So sometimes you think, okay, I have taken 1 liter of water, but it is not absorbed in your body, that entire 1 liter. So, and that's why glycerol is important. Now, again, if you take the hydration using the sodium, 60% can be absorbed. And if you take hydration using glycerol plus sodium, you can absorb 77% of the water. And that's why you see normally when I remember in my childhood days, and we used to take add the salt and the lemon in the water. So why we add the salt? To increase the absorption. So this is how you should plan your hydration. And post exercise rehydration. In post exercise, you have to first calculate how much fluid you lost from your body. So approximately you will lose 1.5 ml of fluid per kg of your body weight loss. So for example, if you're 70 kg athlete and you lose 2 kg of your body weight after training, then you should be taking 3 liters of water. So this is how much water you should drink. So every 1 kg of body weight loss, you should take 1.5 liters of water. And this is how you have to plan your hydration. Okay, and so then there are electrolytes. Other than glycerol, there are electrolytes, they come in different forms. You can take this electrolytes also to rehydrate yourself. So there are different situations to use it. I will quickly move from here. And this post-exercise dehydration plan, already I told you that you should be taking around 1.5 liter of fluid every 1 kg of, and you should be taking the 3 liters of water within 2 to 4 hours post-exercise. It's not that you should be taking very late or taking entire water, within 1 hour, which is not possible. So you should spread this, over 2 to 4 hours post-exercise. This is how you should have your post-exercise rehydration plan. Okay, so this is a mixed milk. Yeah, I'm just concluding. Yeah, I'm concluding. 30 seconds. Yeah, and then there's a mixed macronutrients. You can take this mixed macronutrients, means the combination of protein and the glycogen. So the best way to use is, like, of course you can take it in the form of a sports bars, but I always recommend personally post exercise one can take the milk plus banana plus some dates. This is an excellent source of both protein and glycogen post exercise. If you can, if your athlete is, he does not have the allergy to the milk, I feel, and also you get hydration, you get protein, you get glycogen, and also you get, and you can add sometimes people add also olives to that also, which can be done. Okay, again, these are some of the suitable supplements, like post exercise one can take depending upon, what is your need, your requirements. It's a combination of both proteins and carbohydrates, you can see here. Okay, and also these are some alternates like for the replacement in the food form. So sometimes the food, why I prefer banana is because banana will cost me so less, right? But if I want to take the same thing what I get in banana, I get it from the sports bars or these other things. It's very expensive. So again, you have to see the cost versus other things. Okay, so with this, thank you so much for giving me this patience hearing for 1 hour. I appreciate you all listening patiently, and thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can always contact me on my email address given here and WhatsApp me. I'll be more than happy to help you with. Thank you so much. Okay, over to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
One of the best presentation of the
My
day.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Sudhagar. செந்தில், ராஜசேகரன். அப்படி வந்து
Good afternoon to one and all. Let us begin this auspicious occasion by invoking the blessing of Almighty through the rendition of Tamil Thai Valthu. I request everyone to stand up for the Tamil Thai Valthu.
நீராறும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெரிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ் பரத கண்டமிதில் திக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த ராவினடர் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிளமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Thank you. Distinguished dignitaries, respected faculty members, our dear participants and students, a very warm good afternoon to all of you all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the valedictory ceremony of SPORTINTEL 2026, the third international conference on advanced sports science and intelligence performance technologies, organized by the Directorate of Sports in association with the Department of Computer Applications and the Department of Computer Science. Today, we gather to celebrate knowledge, innovation, and successful culmination of this prestigious international conference. To formally welcome the gathering, I invite Dr. Sendil Kumar, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Yoga, also the co-convener of SPORTINTEL 2026, to deliver the welcome address.
A very good evening to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome this august gathering to the valedictory function of SPORTINTEL 2026, third international conference. I extend my heartfelt welcome to our respected additional registrar, Dr. T. Maithili Madam, a dynamic and visionary leader of our SRM IST. On behalf of Directorate of Sports and my own behalf, I wholeheartedly welcome you, ma'am. I'm also welcome our dynamic Director of Sports, Dr. R. Mohana Krishnan, to this wonderful occasion. And I would like to welcome our distinguished keynote speakers, Dr. S. Nagarajan sir, Dr. M. Ilayaraja sir, Dr. M. Dinu M.R. sir. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. S. Tirumulai Kumar sir and Dr. Nadarajan sir, chairpersons, and Rajashekhar sir, the chairpersons of online and offline sessions of this SPORTINTEL 2026. All your presence has truly elevated this event, sirs. I also warmly welcome my colleagues from Directorate of Sports, the faculty members of Department of Computer Science and Computer Application, and above all, we welcome our energetic participants, the true pillars of this program's success. Today is not just the conclusion of an event, but a collaboration of learning and collaboration. The journey we shared has been inspiring, and the outcomes have been truly rewarding. Let us carry forward the knowledge, spirit, and connections we built here into your future endeavors. Once again, I warmly welcome you all. I have missed anyone. My sincere apologies. Please consider yourselves warmly welcome. Thank you.
We now move on to a special segment of the program, felicitating our esteemed dignitaries who have accepted our invitation and who have graced this occasion with us. Some of them have spent the entire day with us and have shared their knowledge. So I request Dr. Asad Ali Khan, Dr. Shiva, Dr. Suresh, and Dr. Gokul to please come on stage and felicitate our guests. Dr. Asad Ali Khan. A warm round of applause, please, for all our dignitaries who have taken their time out from their busy schedules and are here with us. Dr. Shiva. Let's keep the applause going. A special token of appreciation to Dr. Maithili, our additional registrar, which is being presented by our Director of Sports, Mohana Krishnan. Thank you, madam, for your constant support and guidance. Thank you, sir. Today's valedictory function is presided over by Dr. T. Maithili, Additional Registrar, MSL, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. She is a highly respected academic administrator known for her commitment, leadership, and invaluable contribution to the institution's academic development and administrative excellence. Ma'am, it gives me great pleasure in welcoming you. I invite you to deliver the valedictory address.
A very good afternoon to one and all here. And at the outset, I'd like to congratulate the entire Directorate of Sports and the Director, Dr. Mohana Krishnan, for organizing this conference. We've always known the Directorate of Sports to be excellent in all their sports achievements. And I see for the last 3 years, he has raised the benchmark to ensuring that even in the conference level, things are going much higher. Especially, I've heard him talk so passionately and personally about how he had visited various countries abroad and how he wants to bring in the aspect of both science and engineering into sports. Sports not being just merely a game, but something that can be taken to the next level. My congratulations to you, sir. And I think this is possible only because of the excellent team that he has, who stand behind him in all his venture. I think they need a big round of applause because they've been doing an excellent job. And I'm sure the students and the faculty members and the research scholars who have participated would have had a great take home through these various sessions, university to a much, much higher level. As on date, I was just told as I was coming in that when it comes to team sports, SRM is the best across India. And I'm sure the day is not far off when we'll be putting our mark in the global stage. My best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. With such guidance, I'm sure we are going to do great things in the future. Now we come to the moment where we recognize excellence and innovation. Yes, I am talking about the Best Paper Awards, which are a testament to the outstanding research contributions that have been presented here today. First, may I request the dignitaries to present the award. The third place in physical education category goes to Mr. C. Damodaran, Mandanapalli Institute of Technology. Damodaran sir, if you may please come up. A warm round of applause, please. It's a big deal. We had a lot of papers. Keep the applause going. Thank you, madam. And now to the categories in computer application and computer science. In the students category, the first place goes to Devanshri Sarkar. The first place goes to Devanshri Sarkar and team. If you can please be faster, can you please come? The dignitaries are waiting. Please keep the applause going. The second place goes to Pranesh and team. The second place goes to Pranesh and team. The whole team can come. We have individual medals for all of you all. So please come. The third place goes to Saurav and Prashant. Saurav and Prashant team. Saurav and Prashant team, if you can come, please come to the dais. Under the faculty category, the Department of Computer Applications, Dr. Leena Nesamani wins the award for Best Research Paper presented. Bronze medal. The bronze medalists are Saurav, Prashant team. It is the wish of our Director of Sports to honor each and every one of you who are here and have presented the papers. So I call upon all the participants to come on stage and receive your certificates because all are winners. Muthukumaran B. Muthukumaran B. If we could just be fast and keep the momentum going. Muthukumaran B. Asirvadam. T. Asirvadam. C.V. Vengada Ashwin. C.V. Vengada Ashwin. Ashok M. Ashok M. Babu Prasad. Yes. Babu Prasad. A.S. Selvam. A.S. Selvam. We request the certificate, those who got the certificates to wait in the front so that we can take a group photo at the end of the session. So please just wait. Babu Prasad, A.S. Selvam. V. Yoganathan. V. Yoganathan. Yoganathan sir. P. Ansi. P. Ansi. CP Bopanna. S. Arun Kumar. Vadi Ramanna. Baldwin Inbaraj. Arun Kumar. Vadi Ramanna. Baldwin Inbaraj. Sukanya Rajnikant. Sukanya Rajnikant. Nirmal Kumar D. Saubarnika. R. Nisha. R. N. Ravina. Saubarnika, Nisha, Ravina. Right? N. Selvakumar. N. Selvakumar. Ashwini Satish Kumar. Ashwini Satish Kumar. Kalai Arasan. Manju Vikram. Manju Vikram. Girija. Madam Girija, are you here? Azim Acharya. Coming to our own SRM IST students, Natesamurthy V. Rivika. Natesamurthy V. Rivika. Jayanti. Students, if you... Gayatri. Rivika. Gayatri. Ritika. Sudan. K. Sudan. A. Surajuddin. Ilamadi. Sirajuddin Ilamadi. Narmada. Murugesan. Praveen. Gopinath. Kamesh. Subha. Ganesh. Let's just give them all a warm round of applause. They've all presented their papers and they are patiently waiting to get their certificate of presentation. Raju Rajashekar. Thank you, dear participants. If we can quickly come to the front and arrange yourself along with your certificates, we can take a quick photograph. Quickly, participants. The sooner we finish, the sooner we can enjoy our weekend. So,
What about yesterday presentation?
Ma'am, let's give them a warm round of applause, please. Thank you, dear participants.
Dr. Asad Ali Khan, come and receive your memento. Bag. இது நான் சொல்லிடுறேன் மேடம். டாக்டர் சுரேஷ், டாக்டர் கோகுல்ராஜ், சிவா, பிரதேஷ், ஸ்ரீபதி, Vamsi, both are from SRM University, Andhra Pradesh. Sripati, come. And Dr. Thirumalai sir. Our teacher, Dr. M.S. Nagarajan sir. Dr. Natarajan sir. Dr. Ganapati. Dr. Albert and Dr. Sendil and Dr. Rajshekhar received your memento. And finally, I call Dr. Jubliet. He is retired from the service, but he is not retired in the field of physical education and yoga. Welcome, madam. Next, followed by the computer science and computer application. Sweetie madam, take care.
Definitely will do, sir. I call Dr. Shivakumar of Department of Computer Applications. Dr. Gracie of the Department of Computer Applications. And Dr. Leena Nesamani of the Department of Computer Applications. Now from the Department of Computer Science, Dr. Aarti, Dr. Yogalakshmi, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Kanchana, Dr. Tamilarasi, Dr. Revati, Dr. Radhika, Dr. Rajalakshmi, Dr. Suhasini. Dr. Sweetie.
Now I call upon the captain of the ship, Dr. Mohan, who has convened this conference very well. Thank you, sir. Next is Dr. Sweetie.
I invite Dr. Mohana Krishnan, Director of Sports, a dynamic leader and the driving force behind this conference, for delivering the vote of thanks as well as presenting the conference report.
Most respected Additional Registrar Madam, and most respected my teacher, Dr. M.S. Nagarajan sir, Dr. Narajan sir, Dr. Thirumalai sir, Dr. Rajshekhar sir, Dr. Sendil sir, Dr. Albert sir, and my own staff members from Directorate of Sports and Computer Application and Computer Science from Faculty of Science and Humanities, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Very good evening, one and all. My sincere thanks to our management and our founder chancellor, our department director, does say, the sports god, Dr. T.R. Parivender, give the opportunity for me to serve a director sports, and in the name of Sports Intel 2026, the name given by our founder chancellor, due to the political time of election, he is not able to join with us. A sincere thank to our sir and Pro Chancellor Administration, Pro Chancellor Academics, they are giving a blessing and wishes to our department daily. And our Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellors and Registrar and Additional Registrar Madam and Deputy Registrars and all the Dean Directors and faculty members. And we thank our participants from various parts of India and also a resource person. This is only one university, Data Sports SRM, to organize this third international conference. It's like a South Zone from Ilayaraja, North Zone from Dr. Yokesh, East Zone from Sambasivam, and West Zone from Rajput. They are all the best resource person in India. And also, we thank all the resource from the other countries and the participants from the other countries through online and offline. And sincere thanks to our own department staff. I am pushing every day from the beginning of 60 days counting start. Every day I am திட்டுவேன் பேப்பர்ஸ் ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கு ஏன் now 170 papers. This is a first time in SRM. This is a big conference. 170 papers and published in this conference, and the best papers to recommended for the Scopus. This also first time in SRM. And we plan the 4th international conference. At the same time, we start journals from the sports department. I hope my team ready to work for that as soon as possible. SRM Institute of Science and Technology don't have journal separately. I say the Directorate of Sports will start soon one journal for the sports and physical education and yoga in the Scopus. I believe my team work together to achieve as soon as possible. And before my concluded my vote of thanks and report, I sincere thanks to my beloved students. Come here. We create one app. This is the first time in India. The application to create a fixtures copy. The fixtures is a main thing of our sports. If we come center. I request madam to felicitate the both the young student from SRM Institute of Science and they are all not sports person. They help the sports person to create a new application how to draw a fixtures. I request a big clap. This is the first time in India. The SRM Institute of Science and Technology and Director of Sports creating a new application. As soon as possible, we send in to all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before concluded, I request madam to give the 3 certificate to our chairpersons. Dr. Thirumali Kumar sir, Professor and Head Department of Physical Education, Tamil Nadu Sports University, and Dr. Natarajan, Director of Physical Education, Jerusalem College of Engineering. Our vision of our Chancellor, Founder Chancellor, towards a March 2036 Olympics. This is one of the platform for advanced sports science and technology to help to promote the sports and enhance the performance to our athletes. And sincere thanks to GM Transport, they give the transport every day, and maintenance team, and headed by Dr. Tirumurugan sir, and hostel and mess, headed by Dr. Poamal madam. We thank all the faculty members from Science and Humanities and SRM Institute of Science and Technology, staff members, and my staff members, of office staff and teaching staff and all non-teaching staffs. This is a third conference. I sincere thanks to all. Thank you one and all. God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. With this, we have officially concluded the valedictory ceremony of SPORTINTEL 2026. Let us all now rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलति तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जाहे तव शुभ आशीष माहे काहे तव जय कादा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We request please seated. One group photo, madam. With all our staff members. Please sit down, sit down. All the staff members, and my dear, we sincere thanks to my PhD scholars, all Directorate of Sports, Physical Education and Yoga. Please clap them. They began my success. This is one of the biggest event of last year comparison. This is one of the biggest tournament and the conference. I request all the faculty members of Directorate of Sports, Computer Science, Computer Application, and all the PhD scholars, one group photo.